Today is the day that we start the engine swap. So I went ahead to Lowe's and got some wood, some casters, and I've got an engine stand now for the one that's going to come off. So figure I'll bring you guys along with it. But anyways, I'm going to time lapse the boat motor swap, and I'm going to bring you guys along with it. So stick around. Alright guys, motor is off and it is put up on the stand. It worked out pretty good other than the lift being just a hair too far away from it, so I had to lift the back of the engine hoist up to get the hook undone from the lifting ring. So next on the list is to get something to drink, and then we got to pull the new motor out of the back of the bed, and then we're going to clean the transom up. Actually, I'm going to probably clean the transom up first and then do that. Had to get ingenuitive. I didn't want this engine hoist rolling downhill with a motor on it, or the foot of the engine hoist hitting the foot of my other motor. So I put some wood in front of it to keep it from moving, and also hooked a winch up to it from the four-wheeler. And luckily that's in play. But anyways, I'm gonna answer my phone call and then I'm gonna get back to it. Alright, so motor's off, cleaned up. Still gotta clean all that stuff up later, but it's alright. Went ahead and took all the bolts and took them to the bench grinder. I have a wire wheel on it. Cleaned all those guys up and I got them placed and ready. And of course I've still got to put sealant inside of them, but next comes this guy. We're gonna pop the hood off, get the key on it, put that bad boy on the boat. I gotta clean the back of the mounting bracket though. There's a bunch of spray paint back here. I took all that crap off, but I'm gonna reseal this section, top section, and all that wherever it's going in. Won't hurt it, but here we go. Alright guys, it's been a while. I finally got that bad boy in. It's all sealed up, all good to go. All I gotta do is attach the battery cables, throttle, and shift cable. Then next weekend, or maybe even tomorrow, who knows, it's time to swap that foot out, and then we'll have 20-inch shaft. Motor's on, it's got power, everything's hooked up, everything's sealed up nice. Got the foot off, and I actually took the spacer off as well. Got the studs out. Now I gotta work this tube out. And then put the bushing on. And then we can slide the 20-inch setup onto the motor. After that, all we gotta do is oil injection delete on the second motor. Then we have to drain the tank, put some non-ethanol gas in there because beforehand the guy ran regular gas, and you can't really do that to two-stroke motors. So we're gonna pull all that out, change the fuel water separators, go through the gas lines, check all those out. I'll probably clean out the carbs, and then we're gonna clean it. Should be ready for water by the next weekend. I've only got a few things left to do, mostly just touch up stuff and then clean the boat. But figured for now I can show you guys the process of getting this tube cut. I'm gonna have to get in there with a Dremel, cut it out. I've had this thing for a long time and never really used it too much, so now it's gonna come in handy. But we're gonna get right to it. We got the tube cut down to 1 inch. Now all we gotta do is slide the old bushing on right here. It should go like so. Boom, and there it is. Now all we gotta do is clean all this copper out, get it washed up, slide the old lower unit on. And then after all this is said and done, I got probably about 3 hours worth of cleaning to get all my crap out of the way. Alright, I lied. She's on. And she went on smooth, other than me having to turn the flywheel, but this guy came in handy. Just trying to use that thing and hold the foot up with a piece of 2x4, but I had to spin the flywheel to get it on. But she is on. But there you have it. 25-inch shaft brought down to a 20-inch. Luckily, because I already had a 20-inch setup with a gear case and everything. Shift shaft and all that, don't have to worry about it. And for those of you wanting to know, these were the two same motors, and I was able to take just the studs out, both lower units, swap the lower units over, didn't have to change anything out. The only thing that I had to do was swap the studs and then cut that exhaust tube, or that water tube, whatever it is, that copper tube running through the center. I had to cut it down, pull the bushing off of it, and then cut it to where it's 1 inch below the grommet inside there, because that's how the other one was. But as soon as I cut it down, filed it up, and got it all smooth edged, It was really tight, but I did it with a Dremel. Put that bushing on there, everything lined right back up. Perfect swap. All right, here we go. So this guy here, he's all nice and pretty because I swapped it out. Because before, he said that CDI box went bad and it caused that dude to melt up. So that's perks of having a parts motor. So no more ugly or spicy. Anyway, today it is hot. I am off of work. And on top of that, it's time to do the oil injection block off. So I went ahead and started. I forgot to start recording, but all I did was just start here. Open this up, and I'm starting to take the brackets off. And then I'm gonna take the brackets off, work into it, drain this guy, remove the tubes, remove the sensors, remove the gear that's in there, and put the block off plate in. And I'll show you guys this process. It'll be in a time warp, but I'll let you know what I'm doing along the way. Man, I cannot wait. So this thing was a pain in the butt. I got the tubes disconnected and I got the 2 screws out. I had to take my shift link guide and undo 1 bolt. This one back here was being a butt and just old. So anywho, I took this bolt out, slid that bracket down, and I was able to get in here and get those screws out. Because the back screw's okay, but the one right here is blocked, so you can't really do too much. But this is it. O-ring and pump. And I'm going to take the gear out. Looks fine. So here's the little block off plate. We pulled the drive shaft, the pump, and all that, or the oil shaft, oil pump shaft. The little housing there, we don't need it anymore. So now all we do is plug that hole up, and I gotta clean up all that nasty crud down there too. And here we go. We got the block off plate in. The old oil feeding tube is blocked off. This one's a direct feed into the pump, so we don't have to reroute anything. We just have to block that off. Pump is out. The extension for the shaft and the oil shaft, the pump shaft, is out. So this one has one, and now this one has one as well. The only thing I gotta check to see is if the alarm goes off whenever you turn the motor on. And if it doesn't, we're good. It'll probably help if I turn the power on too. Then I gotta put my throttle cable back in and my carb cable, or my steering cable. No alarm. So we're good. All I gotta do now is put these guys back in. And that'll be it. We'll be on to fuel water separators. And Nico might be coming over too, so who knows? He might be helping me get this carburetor swapped out here. I wasn't going to do it, but if I got an extra set of hands to make it go a lot faster, then I'm going to go ahead and pull it and do it. We'll see what happens. Looky who came.
I'm back.
Yeah. So we got started and forgot to record because we were just getting into it, but carbs are off. And we're trying to save these little gaskets. We got one more to pull. And we're probably going to put a razor blade behind it and maybe it'll come off. I don't know. But anyways, these aren't too bad. It's just a few hoses and about 8 bolts.
Yep.
So we're gonna try to throw it on. We're gonna take this Potts motor, put it to good use. I also had to steal a T connector off of here because I kind of broke the other one on the other boat when I pulled the oil tank, but it's okay. That's what the part motor for. Well, we're gonna get back to it. Carbs are off. Now we're pulling it off the main motor on the boat. She's gonna get an upgrade. She's gonna be bigger. I'm gonna change these old rusty, ugly, nasty, funky boats out too. Should go very well. We'll see. Carbs are in, everything is nice and matched up. So now that the carbs are on, we're now at a 125 with a 20-inch shaft. So there's nothing different about these two motors anymore. Everything is the exact same. So now we got to start working on the steering rack, and that's gonna be fun because some of it's salty and it's sticky. So we're gonna start breaking apart the steering rack, start adjusting some things. It's hot out here, so my GoPro won't run, but when we get done, I'll show you. But basically, we gotta take this bracket, shorten this bracket up, and adjust this link. And if we can't get this to pull in anymore or adjust this backwards, then we're gonna have to take the mount up and remount that. And I don't want to do that, so we're gonna try everything we can not to. But other than that, she's getting closer and closer. After this, all I got to do is drain the tank, change out the fuel water separators, put some fresh gas and some seafoam and some oil in it, and start pre-mixing it, and we're good to go. I'll be back with y'all shortly. We've been hard at it. Nico had to go back to the house. He's getting ready to go out of town, but she's done. We didn't end up having to move this guy here. So I shortened the bar between the two mounts, so now they're not so much like this, they're like that now. And also ended up having to cut this tie rod end, cut a 1/2 inch off of the end itself and a 1/2 inch off the threads, and also had to cut a 1/2 inch down there. But this right there is where it used to sit. I wasn't able to turn all the way to the left. Now I can go all the way over to the left. So we are good. So steering, carburetors, and the foot and all that, check. We are going to look back at the list and update everything. so long as I can find a Sharpie, which I probably cannot find a Sharpie. Well, I can't find a Sharpie, so I have a pencil, but this will do. So, motor swap, check. Foot swap, check. Steering mode, start steering rack, check. Alright. Next, we gotta drain the fuel and change the separators. Then we'll check all the trim tab and trim for the tilt trim on the steering wheel and hydraulic fluid. It's coming down quick. Whew. There she is. We got our new door window in. From out here it looks black. That's alright though. So the next thing on the menu is to drain the fuel tank. I've already kind of started. I got into the access hatch. I pulled up the fuel sending unit. Well, kind of moved it out of the way. And I've got a lot of gas to siphon out. So I've already got almost a 5-gallon bucket filled up. And I'm thinking I've probably got to do this about, I don't know, 10 more times. But that's alright. We can use the gas anyway, so we can put it in something else. And I'm going to strain it and make sure everything's good in it, clean. Then I'm going to try to clean out the residue in the tank at the bottom, if I can get to it. And after that, we'll go put some fresh gas in it. We'll put some seafoam in, and we'll mix the oil, since we got our oil injection delete done. Alright, this is the moment of truth. I've got everything done up, and I just changed out the fuel water separators, put new ones in. And last night I was spending forever trying to drain the fuel. Fuel water separators weren't that bad on the inside, but the outsides were pretty oxidized and corroded, but thankfully they weren't bad. And it is sprinkling out here, so if it gets kind of smudgy, that's my bad. But anyway, I am going to put some water to the motors, and we are going to fire them up. It might take a minute for the new one to get started up because it's completely empty for one. I've got to pump all the fuel through the fuel water separators, get it primed back up. And on top of that, I have to adjust the carbs for the idle on the new motor. So, let's see what happens. Turning the water on. We're going to start up the original one on the starboard side. And just got it primed up. It took a minute. I got to prime the other one up too, but go ahead and get this one going. Oh, look at that. I got to hurry. Can't wait. That's why I got to do it. It's going to take a minute for it to start up, but it's alright. first one's good. I'm gonna swap the gear moose over to the new motor. And we'll see what happens. Hopefully all is good. Fingers crossed. Adjust the idle down on the other one. Well, that was a success. I literally only had to adjust the idle just a hair. Both of them are blowing smoke, or burning smoke. I don't know what else to say. That's like the biggest thing on the list that I wanted to check off, and it is like it's done. Alright guys, that's gonna wrap it up for this week for the motor install. So that check right off the list. Now I can focus on all the small stuff. Got one more big project before I do like the nitpicky stuff that I don't have to have but I want. That'll be the trailer motor, and then after that I'll be looking at getting some EVA foam decking for the cockpit and the swim platform back there. But before I can do all of that, I got to do a few adjustments on some things, like I want to move the front light bar forward and get everything clean, get these live well lids changed out, and then from there it's all downhill. Everything's going smooth, everything's going good. I'm trying to take my time, make sure everything is right, and we are that much closer to getting out offshore to go fish, and I cannot tell you how excited I am to take this thing out. So anyways, I really appreciate you guys watching. We hit a milestone today. Also fixed the steering, and now I can turn all the way to the left like I need to, and all the way back to the right like I need to. Also fixed the distance between the two motors, so that should help with cavitation and everything, because before you could kind of feel the right motor kind of, you know, catch cavitation and stutter a little bit. It definitely is not motor related. It's just you could feel the prop. If you drive a boat long enough, you can tell. They were towed in. Like if these are the two motors and this is the backside, the backsides were towed in a little bit more than they should have been. Now that everything is done, I can spend the rest of the weekend getting this other stuff done. And I got a few buddies coming over. I'm going to help them fix their boats, clean their boats, and or go over their boats, make sure they're good and water ready too. We're gonna be out on the water soon. I can feel it, I can smell it, I can feel the salt burning. I'm starting to smell sounds. I'm starting to lose sight of my right eye because I haven't been fishing in over like 2 weeks. It's killing me. I appreciate you guys. Thank y'all for watching. I'm Drew. This is Habitual Angler. I'll see y'all next week.